The recruiter cleared their throats and asked a question that should have had a simple yes or no answer. I didn't rush it. I let the silence stretch, and in that pause, I watched a man's entire future quietly unravel, one reference call at a time. If you've ever had to clean up after someone lazy, dishonest, and convinced they were smarter than everyone else, you're going to love this. Hit like, subscribe, and settle in, because this is one of those rare revenge stories where doing the right thing feels deliciously wrong. I manage a retail store, one of many under the same ownership, and before you picture some soul-crushing, underpaid nightmare, let me be clear. This is a good job, a really good job. The owners pay well, really well. The expectations are simple. Show up, learn the systems, do the work while you're on the clock. That's it. There's a learning curve, sure. Our systems are layered, detailed, and unforgiving if you rush them, but that's fine. We plan for it. We train for it. We support new hires until they're confident. Most people appreciate that. Most people. Then there was Ezekiel. Not his real name, but trust me, it fits. Ezekiel joined us a few months back. First impression? Confident. Almost charming, the kind of guy who smiles while he talks, like he already knows how everything works. By day 2, my team was already pulling me aside. "Hey," one of them said quietly near the stockroom, "keep an eye on the new guy. He's skipping steps." Skipping steps is retail poison. Warranty submissions need to be exact. One missed field, one wrong selection, and the whole thing gets rejected. When that happens, someone else has to redo it. Not Ezekiel, someone else. Allocated aisles need daily attention, facing, stock rotation, cleanliness. When they're neglected, it doesn't look like his failure. It looks like mine. And then there was the lying. Ezekiel would tell customers whatever he thought would close the sale. Exaggerated capabilities, promises the product couldn't keep, straight-faced, confident lies. Here's the kicker. We don't work on commission. We get paid the same whether we sell $100 or $100,000. So when I finally sat him down and read him the riot act, I expected embarrassment, maybe accountability. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and tried to renegotiate his job. Actually renegotiated. He talked about how he worked better without strict processes, how the system was overkill, how he thought his role should be more flexible. I remember gripping the edge of the desk, feeling that tight pressure behind my eyes, the kind that means you're choosing professionalism over honesty. We warned him repeatedly, slow down, learn it properly, do it right the first time. He didn't listen. Then something interesting happened. Any tiny inconvenience became an excuse not to come to work. Headache, no show. Bus late, no show. Bad mood, no show. At first, he had leave, then he didn't, but he still didn't show up. Somewhere along the way, Ezekiel convinced himself he'd found a loophole, a magic trick, stay absent long enough, and somehow the paycheck keeps coming. Behind the scenes, the decision was already made. He was done. The only reason he still had a job was Christmas. Nobody likes firing someone before the holidays. We planned to hold out until mid-January. Ezekiel didn't make it that far. Once he was told he had 1 week left, something in him snapped. If he thought his work was bad before, this was sabotage. Paperwork filled with errors, half-finished tasks, warranty claims that were ticking bombs just waiting to explode weeks later. Every day after he left, we found another mess, another thing to fix, another reminder of him. On his final day, he didn't even have the decency to say goodbye. No manager, no team lead, no explanation. He just left at noon through the loading dock. If it weren't for the cameras, we might not have noticed until payroll. I manually clocked him out the moment he stepped through those bay doors. And that should have been the end of it. It wasn't. A few days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hi, this is Sarah from a recruitment agency. I'm calling about a reference check for Ezekiel." I felt my jaw tighten. He hadn't asked me. He'd listed me as a referee. I looked at the ceiling and let out a slow breath. Okay, Ezekiel, let's play. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't defame. I just answered exactly what was asked, sometimes after a pause. A long one. Would you rehire him? Silence. Well, I'd say carefully, that's a difficult question to answer. They'd lean in on the other end of the line. I could hear it. Then I'd explain that Ezekiel hadn't resigned. He'd been invited to leave. That his attention to detail was inconsistent. That his attendance was unpredictable. That his understanding of responsibility was still developing. Every word true, every sentence calm. Each call ended the same way, a polite thank you and no follow-up. Then today happened. A recruiter called about a support worker traineeship. Support worker, someone responsible for the well-being of others. I stared at my desk while she spoke, my fingers slowly curling into a fist. She asked about his reliability. I paused. She asked about his honesty. I paused longer. Finally, she asked if I thought he was suited to supporting vulnerable people. I closed my eyes and I told the truth, that he struggled to support himself, that responsibility often overwhelmed him, that consistency was not his strength. When the call ended, I didn't feel joy. I felt relief. Because for once, Ezekiel's shortcuts caught up with him, not through yelling, not through revenge fantasies, just quiet, professional honesty. Call after call, opportunity after opportunity, burned. So yeah, fuck you, Ezekiel. Here's the thing that makes it satisfying. He never gets to point at me and scream injustice. I didn't sabotage him. I simply refused to protect him from the consequences of his own behavior. Every pause, every careful word, every truthful answer, that was the revenge. Sometimes karma doesn't show up with fireworks. Sometimes it just answers the phone and tells the truth. And honestly, that's the most satisfying kind. If this story hit a nerve, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real revenge stories that prove patience beats pettiness. And tell me in the comments, would you have done the same or gone even further?